Aha. So, it. Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 1. I'm CJ Miller, and I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And this is a review of It. Welcome to Derry. So, when I first started hearing about this, or reading about it on the interwebs, I thought it was going to be called Welcome to Derry. But no, it actually is It with the colon and then the subtitle Welcome to Derry. So that's great. I like what they're doing with it. This first episode, you almost get a sense that it's going to follow, and do a retelling of it through a set of earlier characters. Uh, a group of children. Actually, you get a sense from the opening scene, the before the title sequence, that you are seeing something that's very different. And it's you do. So there's a boy decides to leave Derry, and oh, by the way, you're going to get some spoilers here. Spoilers. Boy gets into a car. And that scene, well, just kind of, I don't want to spoil that part, but it's worth seeing. But lets you know, hey, you're dealing with a different type of monster, proverbial, so to speak. In this show, it's different than the movies, but I think that you'll like it. No, you don't get Pennywise the Clown in this first season, but in a way you do. In a way, um, you start seeing things that are present that are very much uh, an echo of Pennywise. That you know he's there. You do start getting it. What we're looking at here is his silhouette in the coming coming episodes, what's coming up, this season, in It, Welcome to Derry, that kind of stuff. So, and that's why I chose this particular frame to talk about this, because I feel like people would recognize the silhouette. I feel like the clown's hair is different or whatever. Um, Later on, we are going to get introduced to Dick Halloran from The Shining. They've already dropped his name in the coming attractions, not in the first episode. And then, but anyway, yeah, you almost feel like, hey, you're watching a group of friends coming together to look for their presumed dead friend who's been missing. And there's a climax to this particular episode in which, wow, it takes a turn, right? Really does take a turn, and you realize maybe you realize that the people who are going to be the lead in this series are not going to be the lead in this series, because they're literally not going to be around, past the first season. Yeah. Spoiler, they all bite it, So anyway, but there's, you're not just watching a group of kids, as in, part one, the kids are losers. You're not getting a prequel to the Losers Club or anything like that. Although it kind of, it's like, they might be telling that story. And in my mind, it was like, wow, I could just watch the movies and get the same story, because it's basically the same thing. But that's just to let you know. That's just to set a connection. There's something very different going on here. And the military is in on it, right? The military is in on it. I feel like the military has a handle on something that's going on. Like maybe they know a little bit about it, something that was buried a long time ago. And I think they want to weaponize it in the Cold War. Weaponize it, him, Pennywise, the clown, who he's not really Pennywise. You know, he's an interdimensional creature that is landed on Earth like a very long time ago. And yeah, I feel like we're gonna get a sense of the things that are happening in Derry, Maine, had not gone unnoticed by the powers that be. I think we're gonna get that. There's a it was interesting because there's an Air Force base here, and they're going to start testing out the new B-52s, right? Which is wonderful. I live in Shreveport, Louisiana, right across the river from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana, and nestled in that is Barksdale Air Force Base, home of a squadron of B-52s. I think they've since been retired. I'm not sure, but up until the rise of the stealth bombers and the stealth uh, fighters and everything like that, up until the stealth aircraft, well, it was all about B-52s and the air shows that we would go to and everything. It was all about that, So, and they were the ones that they swooped across the sky with their sonic booms and their stunts and wowed us all as if they were trapeze artists in a circus. They still do. If we go to the Air Force Base and look up and see the shows and everything, the air shows I'm talking about, So, oohs and ahs and everything. But, yeah. So, yeah, it's worth seeing. It's this HBO. It's a streaming service. But having looked at this, I'm going to give it the rating of I, because I would have paid to see this in a grand IMAX movie cinema. Maybe not the IMAX that we have here locally, but a real IMAX that's totally super large screens and everything like that. I would have paid IMAX movie prices to see this. If they're all now, I know that first episode is probably all in, throwing everything at you, and it's really gonna wow you. And maybe some episodes later on in this series are going to be underwhelming by comparison, but I got a feeling the grand finale. This is supposed to be. They called it a slow burn. There's nothing slow about the burn that's happening here. It's really not. I think you're going to enjoy it. The only thing that sucks about this is that I have to wait until the next episode, which is going to be Halloween night or Halloween day or whatever. I don't know. I will probably watch it as soon as I can. And I'm not even like the biggest fan of this particular franchise. I remember the series when it showed on TV, and then I moved down to New Orleans, and everybody was so obsessed with it. Pennywise the clown and everything. They were just everybody was, and it's like, really? Thanks. I watched it as a young adult, and I don't remember being. I remember the TV version. Oh, ha. Well, I'll wrap it up. I remember the TV version. I was somewhat bored by the miniseries on TV, even though I liked the actors. Richard Thomas. Annette O'Toole. Some very classic people, but yeah, I remember being a little underwhelmed by it. And then the movies came, and I was like, that's great also, but the thing about it is very Freddy Krueger. You know, it uh, is basically fear incarnate, and the way you defeat it is to face it and say, "Hey, we're not afraid of you," and you take away the fear and you take away its power, and that's the same as uh, Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just it's just basically the same story. Really. Um, I wonder what they're going to do with this one. There's only so many different ways you can approach the same themes, but this is definitely some Lovecraftian horror at its finest. Uh, Something that's present in this first episode all the way through. Um, is the turtle, that is the, he's the polar opposite of Pennywise, the turtle, and yeah, so I don't know where he fits in. I know in the book, he is the turtle is kind of that interdimensional presence, and one of the characters is, sent into the stratosphere, uh, and he encounters the turtle, and the turtle's like, "Well, you've got to find your strength to fight and face your fear, and that's all I can do. I can't fight this battle for you. You've got to fight it, but here's what I can tell you: you just have to face your fear, go back and fight it, and that's the answer." And there you go. So that's it in a nutshell. And then, of course, later on, they go to, maybe search for and encounter the turtle, but he's dead, And I keep saying the turtle because I forget the turtle's name. But it was all the way through. The turtle was in, I first encountered it in Stephen King's The Drawing of the Three, which was of the Dark Tower, series of books, of Roland the Gunslinger and all that and everything. And I read those books. I read, enough of them to really get the point of the story across. And then, of course, there was the comic books that came out that expounded upon the adventures of Roland and blah, blah, blah. But for me, it was like, yeah, there's the original 7 books, and then are the ones that are definitive and that are canonical for me. And then there was another book that was written and kind of slipped in there, by Stephen King, as somewhere between whatever that became, that I haven't read. And it's like, yeah, I've already gotten into that story. I'm not going to go back and do more of it. You know what I mean? It's like, at some point, Stephen King, Jesus Christ, enough's enough. Of the, because that was a long, epic read, and I got through it, and I'll be damned if I was going to go back and read like an insertable chapter in a story that I was like, I'll hear about it, whatever, I'll cliff notes it, something. Dude, really, for real. Then there was the comic books, which I was aware of. I didn't read them or anything like that. Then there was the movie, The Dark Tower. And the movie sucked. And the movie was less related to The Dark Tower, and it was more related to some other Stephen King work, like I want to say The Talisman. It was more closely related to the story of The Talisman, that was written with Stephen King and Peter Straub. It was more close to that than the Gunslinger series and everything. Taking the kids who have The Shining and draining from them their shining their psychic ability and using that psychic ability to fling uh, via some sort of mystic catapult at the dark tower to try to crumble all of existence, so that there could be a crack enough for whatever was beyond to slip its way in. Go figure. Interesting story and everything, but uh, like I said, it was more the talisman than it was the Dark Tower. But this isn't about any of that anyway. This is about this particular uh, episode of It. Welcome to Derry. Rated I for IMAX. Love and light. Peace. Good night.